I can't believe the Windstar staff didn't kick us out of Basel and Bamboo.
Oh no. What happened?
Well, our little group of 11 was having a blast in Tahiti, and we spent the day apart, so we had to share our stories with the entire cruise ship. We were loud, we were rambunctious.
Did you get any dirty looks?
Yes, we did. But I think people mostly wish that they were like having as much fun as us. They even stopped, like, as they were trying to leave the restaurant, to stop at our table and say, "I don't know what they served you, but I wanted that."
We have all been there, Ryan. Those times when you didn't even know that you were making a scene.
Well, I knew it was happening, but how many times are you going to go to the islands of Tahiti? You might as well have a blast.
Welcome back to One Slice at a Time. I'm Stephanie Picosta, a travel advisor specializing in multi-generational travel.
Ryan Joy, a travel advisor specializing in big group trips, exotic destinations, and helping people take the most Instagrammable vacations of their lives.
Did you guys hear last week's episode where Ryan told us all about his nightly pizza party aboard the Scenic Opal? You need to go back and hear that hilarious mistake that Ryan's butler made when taking his pizza order.
Yeah, that's a story that I'll be telling for many, many moons to come. But this week, we're taking the party all the way to the South Pacific because I have to tell you about some of the amazing trip that I just took.
I kind of feel like the name tells us everything we need to know, Ryan. It's the dreams of Tahiti with Windstar Cruises. Okay, Ryan, give us a little overview.
Well, as you said, it was the dreams of
Dreams.
Tahiti with Windstar Cruises. It was on the Star Breeze. Now, Windstar does two different ships that they put in Tahiti. They have a sail ship and they have one of the power boats, power yachts. So we were on the Star Breeze, which is a power yacht. It was 7 nights
Yes.
round trip from Papeete. And the thing I need to tell you, everybody,
Yes.
is that the postcards and the magazines and all the things that you see on the internet about Tahiti, it is not a lie. It
Ooh.
was real. All of it.
No
The
AI
most,
doctored photos, right?
I mean, there may be some out there, but I'm telling you, when you see like this pretty blues of Tahiti, it is just like that in real life. We were on jet skis going around Bora Bora. That was the excursion. Jet ski around Bora Bora. How stupid and ridiculous is that? Crazy. Um,
I love it.
we, but we're on this jet ski and we're in like, we're in like maybe 30, 40, 50 feet of water. And I'm telling you, I
Mhm.
could see straight all the way to the sand
Oh,
on the bottom. It
amazing.
was
Amazing.
so clear. Like you're standing. So then we went to a spot that was like maybe 3 feet of water and I'm standing in
Mhm.
it and I can look down and clearly see my toes. Ridiculous.
Okay. So you mentioned Bora Bora. What other islands did you visit?
Okay, so the cruise, it was round trip Papeete. That's the main island of Tahiti that you fly
Mhm.
into. And then after that, we went to Moorea. Moorea, you can actually see from Papeete, so it's really not far at all. Like, it's a slow meander over there. I watched one day a ferry go from Papeete to Moorea. It was like an hour. So it's not a long commute at all. And then we went to
Okay.
Raiatea, and then we
Mhm.
went to Bora Bora. Then we went to
Mhm.
Huahine, and then we went back to Papeete. We also
Mhm.
visited along the way two motus, and what a motu
Okay.
is a private island. But
Ooh.
I'm telling you, it's not like Perfect Day at Coco Cay. It is not like that at all. These motus are like little tiny islands that are privately owned,
Mhm.
not by not by the cruise lines or anything like that. They are privately owned by people, and they sort of like rent
Mm.
them to the cruise lines for the day.
Ah, yeah.
So there was two different occasions where we had with Windstar did a beach barbecue for us on one island, and then we did a whole
Nice.
like dinner and a show on a different island near Bora Bora. This was awesome, like so cool because you go out to these little private islands and like
Mhm.
you could just walk right out, swim, snorkel, whatever. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, I bet. It'd be like having your own little private island for the whole day. Like,
Oh,
that's
and
amazing.
and and in
Ugh.
this like beautiful clear water, like people took out the like yeah, they brought kayaks that we could take out, and there's this little machine that you can like hold on to, and it's kind of like if you picture a
Right.
jet ski without the part you sit on, it like
Mhm.
drags you through the water. Super cool. And the whole time that we were there, 7 night cruise, we never
Yeah.
saw another cruise ship.
Ooh.
The only time that we saw another cruise ship was our second day in Bora Bora. There was both the Paul Gauguin ship and a Silver Sea
Mhm.
ship that were moored near us. But the cool thing
Ah.
is, we did Bora Bora the day before. We were spending our time at the Motu near Bora
Ah.
Bora that day. So
Right.
while those two ships were on the island, we were
Mhm.
not. So it was
Yeah.
so cool. So cool.
Oh, I bet. So what other kind of excursions did you take?
Okay, so we did an excursion pretty much every day. We did a couple that were like tours of the islands, but the main excursions that I think like I would
Mhm.
recommend to every single person that ever goes to Tahiti is that jet skiing around Bora Bora as the
Mhm.
first one, and then drift snorkeling is the second one. But I need to tell you about these in a little bit more detail. Like, so for
Please.
jet skiing, we got off the ship in Bora Bora. We were moored, and they brought us
Mhm.
over. We got to the into the van to go to the jet ski like place, and it was raining and pretty
Oh.
hard for a few minutes. And then we went outside, and it just looked like it was going to be raining the whole day. So we are like, oh man, are we
Mhm.
going to be able to do this jet skiing? Well, we go out. We decide like, when are we going to be back? We're going to go. So we go out, and I'm telling you, we were like out for 3 minutes, and it was beautiful. Cleared right up,
Oh.
and it was just the most beautiful day. And then as we came back, because we circumnavigated Bora Bora, like we went around
Oh,
the
wow.
island, and then as we were pulling back in, we had cloud coverage and rain again. So it was kind of like just just for us,
Just
perfect.
perfect.
Yeah,
And you found
that
out that the
excursion.
weather in Tahiti is just like the weather in Florida. It changes at a drop of
Yeah,
the hat, right?
yeah, for sure. But like, so that was so cool because we went by all the overwater bungalows and things,
Mhm.
and there was two different times where we stopped and got off the jet ski and just hung
Jesse?
out. Yeah, our guide
Yeah.
had some drinks that he passed out to us and stuff. It was
Always
it was
helps.
unreal. Yes. Okay, now drift snorkeling.
Yeah, I want to hear
This
about
was
this because I love to snorkel.
okay, Stephanie, you would love this. Pizza Pals, you would love this. This is amazing. Okay, so snorkeling is not really, in general, a strenuous activity, right?
No,
But
that's why I like it.
but this one, you need to have a little bit of a warning because drift snorkeling is an activity that you do where you don't even have to swim. Basically, you use the current. So
Right.
you have to walk out and then put your flippers on and your goggles, and then
Mhm.
you just float, and the current of the water takes you, and you're just floating, making yourself as flat as
Yeah.
possible as you float over the coral, looking at the different fish and stuff. You basically float back to the boat, and
Hmm.
then you go again. And so it was awesome. You do, I mean, it's a little rocky and stuff at first as you walk out. So that's where like
Hmm.
maybe the strenuous part is. Plus, you need to be able to stand on one leg in the water with a little bit of a current in order to put the
Right.
flippers on. So
Sure.
that's all that. We saw sharks, three of them, as we were
Yay.
snorkeling. That was pretty cool. They were like circling and stuff. Drift
Checking you
snorkeling,
out a
I
little
would
bit.
say,
Yeah.
man, don't not drift snorkel. If that is an
Right.
excursion on your itinerary, you've got to do it. And also the jet
Mhm.
skiing, 8 people was the group. So
Wow.
book Tahiti early and book that excursion right away because,
Right.
there's only eight
That's it. You're
spots.
not going to get it. Hmm.
That's right.
That's a great tip.
Freaking awesome.
Ryan, do you feel like you got to experience and learn about the culture of the French Polynesian?
But Windstar did an awful lot to make sure that we had like this Polynesian experience, that we were able to learn some about the
Okay.
culture and stuff. They had three Tahitians that were on the ship with us, that their mission
Oh.
was just to talk with guests and kind of they led ukulele and hula
Hmm.
classes, and and separate from them, they would bring on people that would do lectures. So Maggie and I sat in on a lecture where the whole thing was talking about the Polynesian tattoos, which
Hmm.
are so popular that
I want to
non-Polynesians
see
get
what you
them
got.
these
What did you
days.
get?
I got a sunburn, is what I got. But it was cool because there were so many things I didn't know. Like, apparently, you know, Tahiti is French Polynesia, so France has control over the islands. And
Hmm.
when they took over,
Yes.
apparently there was a period of time where the tattoos were banned. So there was a
Okay.
long stretch where both the language, the tattoos, all that stuff was banned. And then in like the 70s or 80s, they are trying to like bring this stuff back. And
Sure.
the tattoos, they tell stories, and they
Yes.
they are about your family lineage and things like that.
Wow.
So to have like this long period of time, these generations where the tattoos were banned, it was pretty traumatic, in terms of
Oh, I
trying to
bet.
remember, because there's not like a written history of this thing. It had to be kind of
Right.
passed down and studied. So the lectures were fascinating. We had a destination discovery event on the
Hmm.
Motu near Bora Bora, and this was just awesome. The food spread that Windstar put out, I mean, there was everything from sushi to lobster to carving stations to salad, whatever, everything
Hmm.
possible that you could want. But then we watched like a full on fire dance. There were some dancers too, but the
Cool.
fire dancing is what was awesome. And then they even had performances on board. They had, the one of the Polynesian guys was playing the ukulele and singing and stuff.
Hmm.
And then we had one night where a whole bunch of dancers came on and did a whole like hula performance and stuff.
Wow.
We got plenty of culture. It was great.
It's good. And tell me, Ryan, you keep going back to Windstar. I know Windstar is one of your favorite small ship lines. Tell me why.
I defy anybody to spend a week on a Windstar ship and not feel the same way as me. The service is unmatched. So much so that I recognized people that I had seen on different Windstar cruises. Not
Wow.
people like passengers, but like crew members that I had
Right.
remembered. I had seen on multiple previous Windstar cruises. Very cool.
Nice.
Here's a case in point. So when it came to dining, I went with a
Hmm.
group of 11. And
Okay.
as we were like showing up at the terminal, I went over to one of the guys who was taking dining reservations for the specialty restaurants. And I
Sure.
said, in Basel and Bamboo, I have a group of 11. I'd like us to be able to eat together. I don't care what night it is, just as long as
Sure.
we're not going to miss something special. And he's like, no problem. How's this day at this time? And I'm like, perfect. That's great. And I said, it would be really nice if we could also sit together in the main dining room, you, maybe
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
first night and the last night. And he's like, I will let the maitre d' know. So
Hmm.
we got down there the first night, and I said to the maitre d', I'm like, I mentioned that I kind of wanted to just have our group sit together. She's like,
First night.
no problem. Your table's right over there, and it'll be yours every night if you want it.
Yeah.
Which is cool because Windstar doesn't really
Right.
take reservations because it's a smaller
No.
ship. You can just walk in any
Hmm.
time. But we had that table set aside for us, and we got to be loud and rambunctious every single night.
Like
So,
it.
like, little things like that are really add up to me. And then
Hmm.
I had been on Windstar before, so I knew what to
Right.
expect. But the other people that when I was with, none of them had been on
Hmm.
Windstar before. And
I bet
that
they were
first night at
blown
dinner,
away.
they were. And they're not inexperienced travelers. They traveled quite a
Right.
lot with a lot of different cruise lines and things like that. And they said to me, "This is unreal." And I said, "Well, what about this other cruise line that you've been on?" And they're like, "It does not
No, this is so
even
much better.
compare." The staterooms are 277 square feet. That's the standard stateroom.
That's huge. Nice.
And yeah, normally on a regular cruise, it's definitely below 200. So
Yeah, I
this
was gonna
was
say it's
we
below
have
200. You're looking more around not 190 for this size of ship
yes,
and cruise. Yeah. So
walk-in closets, bathrooms with two sinks, shower you can do a dance in,
very
sitting
important.
area. Yes, as we always talk about. But The ships are not brand new, but they've done such a nice job keeping them up that they're
Right.
so beautiful. Yeah.
Yep. So, for a lot of travelers, sometimes even me included, and I do this for a living as well, but Tahiti feels so remote. Tell me about the logistics to even get to Tahiti to do a cruise like this.
Oh, yeah, it was not easy for everybody because there are a limited number of flights that go in. And so,
Right.
the number one recommendation we always make with a cruise is to be there the day before. And so
Right.
that's what I did. That's what we planned on doing. We got there the day before. Well, other people in my little group of 11 wanted to do the same, but the flights were sold
Mhm.
out. So they had to fly in two
Oh,
days
the day.
early
Ah, well, at least it wasn't
because
the
there
day
were
of.
right, yeah, that was not going to happen. I mean, it's too much of an investment
Right.
in airline tickets and cruise and all
Right.
that stuff
You're not
to do
missing this
that.
cruise. Yeah. Yeah.
No. So what Maggie and I did though, because it's an 8-hour flight from California.
Right.
Now, everybody in my group was East Coast. So it it's like you
Mhm.
got 5 hours to California, then 8 hours over to Tahiti. So
Mhm.
what we did was we actually flew to LAX 2 days early and spent 2 nights in LAX. And this was a pro move, especially her Maggie and I both worked remotely
Right.
from LAX, and we have the ability to do that. So if that's
Yeah.
something that you can do in your job, definitely think about that. So we did that, stayed 2 nights in California, actually near Disneyland. So
At
it was kind
Disneyland,
of
I
fun.
seen the photos.
It
The vacation
actually
before the
wasn't.
vacation.
It actually wasn't, but we visited our favorite Disneyland hotels. But yeah, we stayed within walking distance of downtown Disney. So
Nice.
we did that for 2 days, and it did a couple of things. Like it broke up that flight, so we didn't have to do
Right.
super long. And then also
Mhm.
it's a 6 hour time difference in Tahiti. So if you do 2 days in Los Angeles, you get 3 hours kind of caught up, and then you go down to Tahiti. We didn't really have jet lag at all.
That's
So
great. That's a good idea.
that was really
Yeah.
smart. We stayed at a place the night before called Hotel Tahiti Nui.
You
It
weren't
was a great
impressed.
hotel, but I wouldn't do it again because my friend had come in the day before,
Mhm.
and so I had he had a room, and then we flew in the morning. We landed at like 4 in the
Mhm.
morning or something like that. So we
Oh,
got to the
yeah.
hotel at like 6:30 or something like that,
Yeah.
and we were like, okay, can we stash our bags? We're just gonna go, take a quick
Right, to
shower
your
in
friends.
our friend's
Mhm.
room. And they're like, absolutely not. Your friend only has a room for occupancy of one. You can't do that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, why do
Right.
you
I've got
care?
a room. You see that I have a
Yeah.
room. Yeah.
So it
That's
was a whole
crazy.
like discussion, and
That's
then
interesting.
we had booked my wife Maggie and I booked a 2 bedroom at this hotel
Mhm.
for our one night because our friend was going to check out of his room and stay with us. Well, I didn't update the occupancy from 2 to 3 when I did that, so
Oh,
they charged me
no.
more for him to come in. So just it was
Wow.
kind of stupid. I didn't like that.
Right.
So I probably won't do that hotel again, but
Right.
the accommodations were fine and it was real convenient to the
Okay.
cruise ship, which is why we booked it.
Mhm.
So that was that. So we did our 7 day cruise. Then afterwards, we stayed 2 extra nights at the Intercontinental, which is like the premier hotel in Papeete.
Right.
Um,
Mhm.
and a lot of people from the Windstar ship were there all day on a day
Yeah.
pass because you get
Yeah.
into your cruise at like 9 a.m. and
Mhm.
then the flights don't leave Tahiti till midnight. So you have a
Right.
whole day that you have to do
And
something
what
with.
better way to spend it?
We booked an Overwater bungalow. It's the most bougie thing I've ever done.
Well, why wouldn't you? Yeah.
And
I know you'll go back, but most people are there for like a once in a lifetime type trip.
yes, yes,
You're getting the
and
overwater bungalow, guys. It's not a
yeah.
discussion.
It was. I mean, it was a pricey endeavor to do so, but I will say that. So funny story is that we go to check in, and of course I booked it
Mhm.
'cause everything's in my name, and we're
Right.
checking in, and the lady's like, "Oh, do you have an IHG rewards number?" And I'm like, "Geez, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've stayed at a
Right.
Holiday Inn, because Intercontinental is the upper end.
Intercontinental. Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
is so Maggie's like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do." And so she's like searching through her Gmail that, she's had for 25 years or whatever, however old Gmail is.
Where's
And she
this last
produces it.
email from my GH?
She produces a number.
I
And so they put it in there. They put the number in there, said, "Oh, great. Since you're an IHG rewards member,
mhm.
your room is available right now to go to." So
Thank you.
we had the bungalow at like 10 a.m. as opposed to having to wait till like 4 to check in.
Nice.
What's funny about this is from that point on, I was referred to as Mr. Lander because that's Maggie's maiden name, and that's how long it had been. We've been married 16 years next week. So
Hey, if
that's
it
how.
gets me into the Overwater bungalow at 10 a.m., I'll be Mr. Lander too.
Yeah, it wasn't an issue. But we absolutely lived it up. We swam off that bungalow like hours and
Oh,
hours every day.
amazing.
It was great. Yeah.
I cannot imagine.
I did low key mention that flights leave at midnight, and that's a
Mhm.
thing to just know when you're going to Tahiti. So like if you do a cruise like what we did, it pays to have the day pass so that you have something to do that
Right.
whole
Something to
day.
do.
Yeah, at the
Just
Intercontinental,
twiddling your
they
thumbs at the
have
airport.
they have rooms that you can go shower and take a shower and stuff before you
Right.
go to the
Like a day
plane.
room
So
type.
it's
Yep.
yeah, yeah. So you can get that at any
That's
point. There's like
perfect.
5 of them. Yeah,
Perfect. Guys, this is just a good spot to pause. And I just want to point something out. If you can impress a seasoned traveler like Ryan that goes on the best of the best brands, stays at the best hotels, travels all the time, this is a trip that you should be doing. And you should be reaching out to me and Ryan to help you get this booked because we are
absolutely.
actually travel advisors. We do this every day, help people chase their dream trips and go on those bucket list trips, go on those big trips for anniversaries, for honeymoons, for just any reason at all. Just get it off your list and get it in your camera roll.
That's right. Whether it's Tahiti or Antarctica or the Galapagos, any of those like exotic, once in a lifetime thoughts, don't put down that credit card for that big trip without talking to somebody like us who can help you make sure that you've booked at the right time of year, did all the right
Mhm.
things. You need do
That's right.
talk to one of us. There's a lot of benefits that
I
come with it. And when you're ready, just email us bookings at oneslicepod.com.
Yep. Bookings at oneslicepod.com is exactly where you'll find us, guys. You don't go through life without a financial advisor. Don't go through life without a travel advisor. And with that, we're going to let Ryan advise us with his crusty review.
I've heard it said before, you need 3 people in your life. You find your person, you
Mhm.
find your doctor, and you find your travel advisor. Those are the 3 people that you need, you
Yeah.
know. So, of course, I was in Tahiti for, man, 3, 4 hours before I had my first slice of pizza. We went to La Pizzeria in
I can't
Papeete.
believe you lasted that long without pizza.
Yeah, so La Pizzeria because, French Polynesia, so we
Yeah.
have to do that. I was like pretty high on this. We walk in and it's like
Hmm.
this a beer garden situation. It was like,
Oh.
trees overhead, kind of beautiful.
Mhm.
I see in the back that they have the big pizza oven with the ceramic
It's
tiles
a
and stuff.
must.
And
Yep.
I'm like, okay, we've got the ambiance down. We've got the pizza oven. I know they got the tools. Now let's
Hmm.
see how they do on the execution. The pizza was available, and that's
Oh
the best
no.
thing about it. It just, I mean, it wasn't amazing. I mean, you don't go to Tahiti really thinking that you're going to get great pizza, and
No, I hear you.
met that expectation, I'll tell you. But you know what, the ambiance was really cool, so I'm going to
That's
give the
cool.
place like a good rating, but the pizza was just like, a 5 or something, not nothing to write home
Even a
about.
five? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
It didn't
it's
sound like it
pizza.
was even going to make a five there.
It's really tough for me to give a rating below 6, so.
Yeah, I know. I know. So, Ryan, let's talk about the rest of Tahiti. What have we not talked about? Tell us what we need to know.
When I was working with somebody as recent as January. So this trip was in April, end of April, and in
Hmm.
January is when guests 10 and 11 added on to the trip.
Booked. Wow.
They had waited quite a long time to add because there was some stuff going on or whatever. But
Sure.
she says to me, Ryan, why am I going to go all the way to Tahiti
Right.
when I have the Caribbean right here? And at the time, I had not been to Tahiti yet, but I had what
Right.
my thoughts were on the subject, so I shared those. I said,
Yes.
like, look, I haven't been there, but this is how I perceive the situation to be. I said, do you know all the things about the Caribbean that you don't like? You know how like there's some
Mm-hmm.
poverty and there's some kind of trashy areas, and
Sure.
not everything doesn't
Yeah.
always meet expectations. I
Yes.
said Tahiti is like the Caribbean, except it doesn't have any of that. It's like
Sold.
perfect, right? So she's like, okay, okay, fine. So then, day 6 or so of the cruise, I said, Brenda, now how would you characterize the difference between Tahiti and the Caribbean? She said back, well, I think we talked about this. Tahiti doesn't suck in any way whatsoever. So, like, yes, there are aspects of the Caribbean that just kind of suck.
They kind of suck
They
sometimes.
are
Yeah.
not present in Tahiti.
Everything you don't like about the Caribbean. We'll
Yes.
leave it
Now I
there.
will say,
It's not in
let,
Tahiti.
let's let's not pretend there's no poverty or things like that in Tahiti,
Right.
because there
Sure.
is. There's homeless people and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
it but it just doesn't feel the same as the Caribbean. Like you feel like you're in
Right.
paradise the whole time. Yeah. Okay. Aside from that, that was one of the big things, but also
Mm-hmm.
there is this thing on Windstar ships. Off the
Okay.
back of the ship, you can they basically, when you moor out in like the bay, they can take the
Mm-hmm.
back of the ship, lower it. They put out some floats, they put out an area, and you can swim off the back of that
Nice.
ship, and it is
Ooh,
and I can
to die
imagine there's
for.
there's
Oh my
places where
gosh.
maybe this isn't that great, but in Tahiti, this was awesome every
Amazing.
time.
Yeah.
And if that platform was down, we were
Hmm.
running back from some of the excursions to be able to make sure that we had time to swim
Time
off the
to,
back of that
yeah,
ship. It was just
enjoy
because
that
when you're in that space, it's an aquatic type of experience. You want to be in the water,
in the
and it
water.
was
Yeah.
just amazing. It was glorious. Also, because it is this type of trip where you can snorkel
Mm.
pretty much everywhere you go,
Yeah.
Windstar actually hands out snorkel equipment to you. There's no charge, and it's your
Charge, just,
equipment for
yeah.
the entire stay. So
I
like
love
you pick
it.
it up on day 1, and like you just turn it back in at the end. So,
Nice.
it's been cleaned and sanitized, and you don't have to worry about any
Mm-hmm.
of that junk. So I like that a lot. And then I'm not saying that you should book a Windstar cruise because they have scones every day at 3:30 in the yacht club, but
But high tea's nice, right?
you may want to consider about booking a Windstar cruise to have scones in the yacht club at 3:30. We
Added
uh
bonus.
so Maggie and I were pros. We've done this before. We've been on this is
Mm-hmm.
my 4th
You were
Windstar
ready.
cruise. So I knew that these scones were a thing with the clotted cream and the jams and all the things. So we went every day. And then we would go to dinner and we'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
"You fools, you missed scones." So around day 3 or 4, we walk into the yacht club, and the person who worked, the barista, she's like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Ryan, it's scone o'clock." So we got our scones. And the last day, my whole group of 11, we all were in
Mm-hmm.
there, and we were all having scones
Yeah.
together. And one of the Polynesian people, the experts that's on the cruise, he walks
Mm-hmm.
in, and I see him make a beeline over. He gets 2 scones, and he puts
Yeah.
them on a plate. And one of the people in our group got up for a second, and the Polynesian guy sat down in his spot, and he goes, "I assume we're all here for the coffee chat." And, and I'm like, we're all kind of looking at each other, and
Or
we're
for the
like,
scones.
we don't even know what the coffee chat is, but we're like, so we look at him and we're like, yeah, of course, that's what we're here for. Up every day at Scone o'clock, the Polynesian experts come in, and they sit down and they have coffee chats, and it's an opportunity
Ah,
for us to just talk to them
ask
about Polynesian
questions and
culture.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
what's Tahiti really like today, and things like that. So
Yeah.
he thought that's what we were there for, and we let him believe that.
I think it was
So
probably a good idea to just let him think that's what you were there for.
yeah, but it was a very nice coffee chat at Scone o'clock that
Nice.
day. So yeah,
So, guys, that's Tahiti from scones to drift snorkeling to jet skiing around Bora Bora.
the whole vacation was a highlight reel. The dreams of Tahiti.
Dreams of Tahiti. Guys, if you love the show, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode.
Better yet, go subscribe to our newsletter also at extracheese.fun.
Even more better, reach out to us to help with your next vacation. But before we get to all that, Ryan, I'm telling you what o'clock it is right now. It is dinner o'clock. What's for dinner?
Well, I'm not eager to go to La Pizzeria in Papeete. It has
Good, because
been
it took
like
you 3 days
20.
to get there.
What? Oh, okay. Well, hang on. Back the train up. There is great pizza on the way if you stop at Disneyland. And I'm low key going to tell you that Naples Pizzeria was why we laid over there. But
On a
anyway,
future
it
episode.
on a past episode, I think I've talked about it 3 times already.
Exactly.
It has been like 24 hours since my last slice.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it's
Wasting
time to go
away.
get me some. That's what's for dinner. Yes.
That certainly tracks, Pizza Pals. Until next time, keep traveling the world.
One slice at a time.
Bye.
Bye.